You on out there? Alright, let's get this thing moving.
Doing something. I just want to make sure, you know. Alright, well, we're here.
Yeah.
Tommy Meyer and Denny Meyer Jr.
Yep.
So I got that correct because in the post I said Denny Meyer. So
Yeah.
that's probably a little confusing. Somebody, I think it was Bobby pointed that out to me.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Yes.
you guys, I've known, well, I don't remember when we met. Probably about 3 years ago.
When you started racing.
Yeah, it was 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
we parked next to you, and it was for the AB race, and you needed an A driver. And
That's right. I forgot. Oh, shit. I forgot about
and
that.
I told you ever since then. I said, hey, be careful with my car,
Hey,
because those night we got. I think we got third that night.
you got second that night.
No, I was second. I thought it was third. I remember you came up to
You
me.
were, you were hauling around the outside. I remember that whole
You came
thing.
up to me and were like, "What do I owe you?" I'm like, "Nothing. Keep it. It's yours. I just showed up and did it for
Yeah,
you."
but you drove the car. That was fine. I know there's a lot of, like, yeah, you know. I mean, I guess it depends. If you're driving for the guy and, you know, you're not doing all the work and stuff and that kind of thing,
Yeah,
then, you know.
it was all for you, not for me.
Oh, yeah.
I just went out there to have fun. That's all that matters.
But I remember because I met, the reason I bring that up is because I remember when I met you, before I'd started going out to Showtime, there was a couple, like, family names I knew off the top of my head, you know, just around the area. Larson and Meyer was obviously one of them. And we were doing a track walk, and I didn't even know your name at that point, and I was walking with you. And I think it was him he actually brought up, my dad brought up, he's like, yeah, one of the families you got to meet out there. I remember watching them when I was a kid was the Myers. And they used to always get into it with this one other group, and I can't remember their name. And you might know.
The Millers.
The Millers, that's what it was, the Millers. And that was just one of those names that was synonymous with short track stuff around
There was something every week.
So was it just, like, is it even remembered how that all started, or?
Well, they had probably 4 or 5 cars. We had 8.
Hold on, you had 8 cars?
Well, before I started racing, this was before I started racing, so we probably had 6. And then it just, because they had so many cars, we had cars, so, you know, you're going to have a conflict sooner or later.
Oh, yeah.
And then it just went on from there.
And it was no one out there said a Ford could beat a Chevrolet, and that was another issue there.
Supposed to be a
Wait, what?
Chevrolet track and blah, blah, blah.
So was this like street stocks, or what class was this?
It was
That was figure 8. When I started racing, I started in street stock.
They did both. It was street stock, and then they did like a street stock figure 8 or something like that.
Well, no, they
or bomber or something.
Citrus, they let the figure 8 guys run street stocks. Out here, they just ran figure 8.
No, before then it was that.
Well, yeah, before
it was outlawed, it
yeah.
was both, because they both ran both classes.
Right.
They would run the oval, and then they would run figure 8.
Right.
So you guys had 6 was it just your family, or did you just have open
Well,
seats forever? Or?
it was family members, and then we had other people driving for us.
Okay. I'm always interested because I didn't.
When I started running street stocks, they would have 4 heat races, and only the top 8 went in the feature.
Well, how many cars did they have showing up then at that point? You had
25 to 30.
every night, every Saturday? So,
Sometimes if you're a points leader, you didn't make it in the top 8. You weren't the points leader
You went
that
in the
night.
top 8 in the heat race, you didn't race the feature.
Yeah, you were done.
I mean, that's a big contrast to.
But you had to be on your game. You
Yeah.
had to race.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's important because I mean, there's a couple of races we get here and there. Like there was that 75 lap one. I think we had like 30 something street stock showed up, but that's only every once in a while.
Because it was a big race.
It was a big race.
It's only every once in a while. I think the unfortunate because how many we get what?
Well,
8?
the thing was that class moved up to like a sportsman class, and it was just too competitive, and I kept blowing motors up, so that's when I went to run figure 8 with the family.
So you started. So let me get this back straight. So you started in street stocks.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And when was that?
I was 16.
Throw your mind back.
I was 16, so I'm 56 now, so
All right.
That's
But
a long
so
time ago.
40 years ago.
You started off in street stocks. You did that for a bit, and then you said you did figure 8 after that.
Right.
So, did you do any other class besides that? You never did late models, nothing like that?
I'd done it, no.
Okay.
I drove a sprint car one time.
Really? Whose?
Back in the day, it was Dave Scarborough.
I know that name. I can't recall the person.
He drove for Interbay years ago.
Oh, okay.
69.
Oh, okay. Yes, now I remember. So
Before
all right.
Jimmy Cope drove it.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, like Cope?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
Oh, really?
not Mike Cope. Jimmy Cope.
Yeah.
Jimmy Cope is Mike Cope's brother, which is also Herbie Cope's brother too.
Yeah.
See, that's another family. Like there's 5 or 6 families in my head that just pop up
Yeah.
when I think of short track, and that's why I think it's interesting to see stuff like that because there's not a lot of other sports besides short track where you really see that. You know, I'm sure there's some basketball players who their granddad did it.
Right.
But it's not as common
Right.
as
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
You'd be very surprised of like how close some of these families were when it come to racing. Like you had the Larsons, which it's Larson Topsoil did sponsor them back in the day.
Well, before that, they had street stocks.
Yeah.
Larry had 2 street stocks. Stevie drove one, and one of the Aldermans drove one. Steve Alderman.
Is there still any of those? Because it's interesting to me, all the old family rivalries. Are there any of those that still exist today?
Larson's?
No, just in general, any family rivalries that still exist today. Like
No, they all after all that quit back in like the 90s, right? Is when it
something like
stopped. Because then it got to the point where police were getting involved.
Well,
police were always at the racetracks and all that.
When the Millers, he almost got killed at DeSoto when one of our cars hit him in the intersection.
Whoa.
One of our cars was leading it, and he tried, I guess, taking him out. Well, there's a short straightaway and a long straightaway down there, and he was on the short one, and our car got him.
Just a driver's side hit?
No, he hit him in the passenger side, drove all the way to the seat.
Holy cow! Wait,
Yeah, there's a YouTube video on it.
really?
Yeah, you see the car like disintegrate.
When was this?
Like 80 something.
Yeah, it was.
Holy cow!
It was bad.
Because their cars wasn't real safe.
Ours
were
they
made
do
out
like some bullshit like the aluminum roll cage.
No,
They
just
were
did
like thin
muffler tubing
tubing.
stuff. Our cars were all made out of black iron pipe.
Well, yeah, because there were some guys. The only reason I asked because there were some guys who got caught doing that in some class up north of here, where they were either using, I can't remember if it was aluminum or if it was just really, really thin pipe.
Thin tubing.
Yeah,
They want to
thin
make
pipe,
the car as
light.
light as you
Light
can.
as possible, but you get hit and just crumple.
But we made ours where we got hit, we're getting out of them.
That's what you got to do, in my opinion.
You want it to be safe. You don't want it to get hurt.
Like people forget, our stuff. We're a lot slower, and people see stuff like NASCAR. Okay, you're running 200 miles an hour. They take a hit and it's fine. Oh, you guys hit 90 and you guys freak out. I'm like, you can still get hurt. It's still very. Look at was it last weekend or the weekend before? Steve Paulton and that mini stock.
Yeah.
Last week.
Holy cow! That was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen a mini stock take.
The sad thing is, you look at the car, you didn't watch the race, you just look at the car coming in from the pits on the record, and you're thinking, all right, that one hit the corner. And then you see the video a couple days later.
It's like,
no.
Straight
It
on.
got turned into the wall.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was no stop, there was nothing, because at that point, you can't do anything. There's no reaction to that.
No, you can't. Not when you're coming into the corner.
You're going down the straightaway and you're caught off guard. There's no way. There's no way. I don't care who you are. You're not stopping for that, and that's a hit.
I had it done in the corner back in the day when they had guardrail
Back was concrete. So.
guardrail and dirt piled behind it. And
That's
little,
when-
little Danny Glover caught me in the right rear going into one and sent me right. The guardrail stopped at my windshield.
There was no like back straightaway, like where you can park up there. That was all billboards and marsh swampland back there.
I've seen a couple of photos. I think.
And that's
it was
where
Pat who showed me. He has some old photos.
That's where the scoring tower was. It was in the back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, but that was always the thing. Is I always point that out to people. They're like, oh, well, you're only going 70 or whatnot.
Yeah.
And like,
It don't matter how fast you're
it
going.
don't matter. Like
you hit the wall going
At
whatever
DeSoto,
mile per hour you're going. That's
At
gonna
DeSoto,
hurt.
you're flying down there.
Oh yeah. That track's different. That track just because you
On the
you
figure eight
do-
track, you're flying.
You don't touch the brakes in 1 and 2. You just go through it depending on what class you're.
But
in.
you want to basically. I mean, I haven't raced there yet. It is my goal to race there one day.
You don't race at DeSoto?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to.
Really? Okay.
Eventually I'm gonna make my way there.
It's fantastic. That's probably my favorite track
See,
closest to us right now.
You got to see it now. See, I got to see it back in the day, like growing up, when it was way different than when Cletus did with it.
So what are the kind of the main differences with it? Because you are right. I never got to go there when
Like-
it was DeSoto.
You could go out in the back and park behind Tech and all that. They had a lot taller grandstands to sit in, and it was like 4 or 5 on the back stretch. Then it had a little playground. Concession stand's about the same where it's been. It's never changed. There was like a photo booth in the back behind the grandstand where the guy that was doing all the photography and the photo take, and you see him from the previous, like after the previous week, and you buy your photos, and he'd sell you videos and all that.
Yeah, they had the grandstands in the pit side, so
You
because the
could,
kids couldn't go into pits back then, so
Yeah.
they would go in them stands, and you could
you
go
had
up
an area.
there.
The area was all blocked off. You had to go through like multiple gates to get into, and that's what I remember because that was like my highlight of my childhood was remembering. I don't remember Sunshine a whole lot, I don't remember
No.
Arbordale.
You just remember DeSoto.
I don't remember going to Citrus when I was young. I don't remember going to
I don't think you
Hialeah.
guys went to Citrus too much.
I remember more or less going to Soto because that is where
in Arbondale
every
wasn't
weekend we
too
went.
much because
basically.
as it went on, we had to battle Jimmy Cherry and Rodney and all them every week.
Is there a particular, I guess I wouldn't say race, is there a particular driver who you battled with a lot throughout your driving career that just pops in your head as like, that was the one, like whether it is for good or bad reasons, your favorite? So, even if it's season long, if it was just one race, like.
Well, when I ran street stock, there was quite a few of them.
Right.
Like Art Danielson, he drives the cars of yesterday now.
Okay.
84.
I love that class.
Him, like Stevie Larson, there was a bunch of them back, in street stock. Figure eight, it's just battling your family most of the time. and then in my day, running figure eight, it was Rodney and them from Arbondale.
See, it's funny because I never knew that you were a figure eight guy.
Yeah.
So.
When he started out, his mom didn't know he was racing figure eight until that day of.
Yeah.
And it was at Orlando when he started it.
She didn't want you doing it?
Oh yeah, because we used to
Oh
run.
no, she hated that.
We used to run figure eight on Friday nights, Orlando.
Yeah. And there was one car that two people switched between. It was him and Bob Clark, and Bobby was supposed to race it that night. He didn't do it, so
I
it was
got
my
stuck in
dad.
it.
And there's a video because Orlando didn't record their races. Only my grandma recorded all the races there. And we found one of the videos, and you hear it the night that he was driving it. You hear it in the video, her cussing him out, and going to go cuss out her husband because of that.
Yeah.
And you hear it clear as day too. And I was like, oh, she's not happy about that.
So
one.
you got a whooping.
No, I got talking to, but she got over it.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, I can't say she don't have a reason. That especially some of those figure eight hits.
Well, yeah, back then we had like 25 of them, and but we went everywhere. We'd go Orlando on Friday nights, then we raced here at intermission. Then we'd load up and go to DeSoto and run last.
So how many years did you do figure eight? So.
Oh, I probably did it. My dad and them did it since they were young.
40-something.
Because I had no idea.
They're the reason why there is figure racing, actually.
Because you were always in my head. I always saw you as more of a street stock guy.
Yeah,
That kind of
well,
thing. I had no
started
idea
in
about
it.
figure eight stuff.
I like street stock because we used to when Citrus ran Friday nights, we used to go up there on Friday night and run.
Right.
And piss them guys all off because we outran them.
That was the whole nother Ford. Never supposed to be a Chevrolet.
Remember
moment
Bobby
there.
Miller used to be out here, and he used to be like the
Yes,
security
I do.
guy.
He
He ran up
had a
there.
street stock out here too, and a
Yeah.
main stock and all that. Well, yeah.
Well, they had him and a couple guys up there. We went up there the first night. When we were done here, they had 3 more nights up there. So we went up there and ran, and the heat race beat them big time, and they were going to protest and everything. And
So you guys were doing like 3 races in a row in a week.
oh yeah,
Sometimes
the
more than
weekend
that.
Right?
between
more than
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So what? So
And
holy cow.
sometimes they run Sunday on Arbondale too, because Arbondale will run afternoon
Yeah,
races.
sometimes they had special races on Sundays.
So
and we
you
ran
run
Arbondale.
4 times a weekend.
Holy cow.
And then in between we'd go to Arbondale and run on a Saturday night.
Jam.
That's
blows
with
my
8
mind.
cars.
Yeah. You were
Then we
hauling-
ran
hauling-
Hialeah once a month.
So let me get this straight. You were hauling 8 cars at like a minimum once a month to do 3 to 4 races in a row.
not even minimum. That was constant.
There was 3 races on between Friday and Saturday.
It got
Holy
to the
cow.
point where like Orlando, because they were trying to get that class over there. They called up.
How many guys did you got? How many guys did you have to do this? Because that's, I mean,
A
think
lot.
about 8 cars. I mean,
To help?
yeah.
Oh, we had a lot of guys that
I was about
helped.
to say because like even like 1 or 2 cars, you need to.
And then some of them guys that helped started racing.
Yeah. That
So
when you got 8
then
cars.
you had to get
It's
more
like,
help.
Like
for the
when I
help.
was a kid and was able to go into pits, me and my cousin and a couple other guys during the race when they got flats, they'd come in, we'd change tires, change the tie rod to get them back out there.
Okay.
And then we started racing. Then
Now you need more.
there was
help.
very few people to help. Oh yeah.
Jesus, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine hauling 8 cars for 3 to 4 races straight
Yeah.
every
My
week.
uncle had a 2-car hauler.
Oh,
he
if
hauled
you-
2 cars.
You heard the stories about half the crap just getting to the racetrack.
Well, half the battle was getting there sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when we went to Hialeah.
What?
Hialeah's on the other side of
It's in Miami.
Alligator Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were there any issues with that, or like was there any particular issue for why you had trouble getting over there? Or just hauling cars?
Tires blowing out, truck engines blowing up.
Preventive maintenance
Yeah.
of vehicles.
You work on the race car all day, you don't work on the thing
The
hauling the race car all
racetrack,
day.
the racetrack was all right, but when it rained, the water went to the wall, so it had no banking. Yeah,
I've never been to that track. I've heard about it.
It's a Lowe's
It's a
now.
Lowe's now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
They closed
that
down.
racetrack was literally in downtown Hialeah. There were stores all the way around it.
really?
Yeah,
I
Asked a lot of guys about it. That like a lot of the older guys, like if you ever talk to anybody,
you
it's
never
like,
stayed there overnight
yeah,
because
You get
unless
your
you had an
Get
enclosed
your-
trailer
get
that
your
was
shit
locked.
stolen.
yeah,
yeah.
hell, they're
yeah.
breaking.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ever since I started racing, I'm in all the Facebook groups and whatnot, and I can't tell you how many guys I see who get their trailers stolen is fucking ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like that shocks me. Like I see at least one a week have guys getting their shit stolen, which blows my mind. Like this is like out of tracks and shit. Like they're getting their shit stolen. I'm like,
Listen, if mine says at the track, it's getting locked down. Like locked down.
that is the other thing. I'm like, a lock's not hard to buy. Just buy a lock.
no,
I got 4 or 5 on mine on any given time.
it's crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, we did. To think about it now, all the stuff we did back in the day, racing wise.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to today.
So because one of the other things I'm curious about. So you ran the 8 cars, did that whole thing. When you got into racing, so you said your dad raced, correct?
Yep.
So your dad ran figure 8. Did he do anything else besides figure 8? So
you did
He did sportsman,
Yeah, it was like-
and back in way before I raced, they called it Thunder Car. Basically like a sportsman.
okay. So like are you like UARA style sportsmen? Or are we talking?
No,
like-
pretty
like
much just a
that
step up.
Mustang right
oh,
there.
okay. So
Yeah,
that's how
like
it's
pretty
that's
much
what
like
it
a
was.
step up from the street stocks.
okay.
Back then, the street stocks were Mustangs, 68,
Yeah.
Camaros,
Well,
a few, other cars.
It's funny that
Bunch of Plymouths and
Yeah.
some Chryslers and
It's funny that you bring that up because one of the things Matt and I talked about on the last episode was how sooner rather than later, and you guys are perfect to talk about this because you guys are all in the street stock class, is that sooner rather than later, there's going to have to be a switch up for what style of frame you're using because we're going to run out of the frames you guys are using.
that's what
Pretty soon.
They've been saying that for years now, but there's always a guy that has about like
well,
100 of them.
Well, one of the things Matt pointed out, and I do actually agree with him on this, is that 90% of the street stocks you see nowadays are ones that have been street stocks for 30 years, have been race cars for 30 years. You don't see any brand new street stocks. I see maybe 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of them are guys that just buy all the old ones that sit on the marketplace, been sitting, and they doctor them, they clean them up, and they go through them, make sure they're good and all that, and they run it.
but could you see maybe, is there a particular car or body style or frame that you could see replacing the current ones at some point? From maybe like something from the early 2000s where it's a little more common, there's a little more cars?
If anything, it'd be the Bubble Caprice,
Right?
because you can find a million of those laying around everywhere.
Yeah.
What if we just take the Vicks, make them the street stocks?
I mean, you could. Mason Love had one.
Yeah.
It's like,
The problem is, though, now they're already in a high demand for the Crown Vic class.
yeah, but there's so many more.
For the Crown
But
Vic class.
they're
and-
out there, but because of that Crown Vic class, it's
And
such a high
Cletus.
demand for them. Everybody thinks they got gold
Yeah,
now. They got a
actually,
Crown
you're right
Vic.
about
So
Cletus.
now
And
you're gonna,
Cletus, who
yeah,
goes by
Cletus,
30
yeah.
of them at a time.
so now
at
you're going to
auction.
try and buy a Crown Vic, turn a street stock. When you first want to find a car, you pay less than $1,000 for a car just to turn into a race car. These guys want $4 or $5 grand just for a car. That's not
the
even
price,
like
the price has gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
I bought my car. My car was it was already pre-built race car. It won a championship and I think 8 features under Jesse Veltman. We bought it for $4 grand. Yeah,
Yeah.
we bought it for $4 grand,
That's a
and that
deal.
was about 4 years ago.
yeah.
Now, there are guys selling cars that have won maybe 1 race, no championships, been driven for 3 seasons, and they're selling them for $6 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And the
dude,
sad thing is, someone will buy it. That's the
Yeah.
sad thing.
that's
Because
ridiculous to me.
It's
It
a
is.
high demand.
Well, a lot more people flip them now. That's kind of an interesting thing.
Well, that's what they want. They're gonna buy one. They're gonna build it, or before they even build it, they're just gonna buy it and they're gonna turn around and make a little money on it, and then they're gonna sell it. I mean, the guys that have the money that can do it, they're gonna do
Do
it.
you
The
see
guys
that
that don't,
happening in street stocks or other classes that often? Because I only see it that much in Vicks. I don't really see it, like, you don't see late model guys doing that.
I mean,
No.
the problem is with late models, you pay $100,000, you get a complete car. There's no problem
Yeah.
with that. You have, I mean, I'm talking like bumper to bumper, suspension, everything's complete. Like you take that car from the chassis builder, you're going straight to the racetrack. It's ready for your weight, everything. You're running everything right then and there. A street stock, you're not going to see it because you can find rollers any day for less than $1,000 that are, you know, somewhat decent, can use a little bit of work, or you can find, like, I mean, I got lucky with the couple of cars that I've gotten that are stripped down already, and I got them from less than 500 bucks. But that's just spending hours and hours trying to find this stuff and just knowing where to look.
Well, you guys spent a lot of time on your stuff, and it's shown because the past few weeks, I know you guys have been doing a lot better. I haven't been out to the last race, but the last race I was at a few weeks ago, you guys did great.
Yeah, we were in a hiccup spot. We've been fighting some issues.
Well, you got it figured out. I mean, it's with those street stocks, especially with the rule changes last season. I mean, I think everyone's been going through a bit of that hiccup.
Quadrajets are what
yes,
the pain.
They are. I wish we would have loved to run. Everybody, crate motor, built motor, everybody go on the same, like Holley carburetor they allow for the crate motors. We all run it on it.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not as educated on the rules for street stocks. I know the Crown Vic stuff off the top of my head. When it comes to street stocks, I know a couple of them. Can you maybe explain the carburetor rule
so
to people who are listening?
If you run a crate motor, you're allowed to run, which now crate motors are so popular because of the sportsman class. There's a limited late model class that's like Northern and all that. The truck class has them. So all these manufacturers are like, Willys is one, Holley's one. Trying to think who sells the one at Race Car, because Kyle just bought one. I can't think of that carburetor name. But there's so many carburetor companies out there that build specifically a carburetor for a 602 that's going to give it more power. But at the end of the day, anybody knows you put a 4-barrel on a crate motor, it's going to break. They're going to come alive. And you give them the better carburetor over what we do. Yes, there's few people say the Quadrajets, once you get them running, they run like a scolded dog. They will destroy a crate motor with a good Holley. But the problem is you got to go through about 4 or 5 just to find that one that's going to run like a scolded dog. And that's a pain in the ass because even though there's a million of them out there, it's just getting that one. Once you get that one, it's keeping it there and just making sure every week it's lubricated. You clear it out. It's not, nothing's, you just overlook everything, make sure it's all good. And it's just, they're temperamental. But I'll say it, you get it going, you better hold on. Because when I put one on and it was running really good.
And are you running a crate motor or a built motor?
I have a built motor.
So you have a built motor and you're running the 4-barrel?
Yes.
Quadrajet.
With the Quadrajet.
With the Quadrajet, okay.
Yeah.
So right now the rule is essentially just that you
built
can run the
motors-
4-barrel, but the 4-barrel is better for the crate motors.
Yeah, but if you, so a crate motor is allowed on a 2-barrel Holley or a 4-barrel double pumper Holley.
Okay.
We're allowed to run a 2-barrel Holley, 500 CMF, or a Quadrajet, and that's it for built motors. So, which, I mean, if you get a good Holley, yeah, they're nice. It's less, you don't have to worry about it, less maintenance you got to deal with and all that. But again, get a good Quadrajet, you don't have to worry about any of that. They're actually equal because it's been proven. I mean, I've raced guys with Hollies with my Quadrajet, and I'm pretty sure we're neck and neck. I mean, I can't say Doc. Doc has a Quadrajet. He swears by them. Yeah. And I'll tell you though, he knows his stuff because I borrowed one night, and that thing was badass. But then I got mine working finally, and once I got mine working, I'm pretty sure he didn't expect me to keep up with him on the outside like I was.
See, it's interesting, like, because street stocks to me when it came to street stock setup, I never thought about the motor side of it as much as I thought about the suspension side, about, spring rates and stagger and pressures, and that was always the side of the street stock stuff that I thought was more important. I don't, and especially with the rule changes at Showtime in particular, if we're just talking about that.
Oh, that's important too.
Yes.
Oh, it's very important.
Cross and all that.
Yeah.
You can take a car with a big ass motor. You can have all this motor in the world.
But if it can't turn,
you'll never go anywhere.
I always tell people that.
I'll tell you this story. I had a guy, I swear to God, it was hilarious. He came up, we were over at our shop, and it was at the welding shop we were at, and my uncle was there, and we were sitting there, we were talking, he was joking with us, and he's like, oh, you got a 383 in that thing. It don't go through the corner worth the hell, but it comes off of the corner like a bat out of hell. And I didn't say anything. I started laughing. My uncle goes, well, why don't you P&G it one night, and we'll see what it is. Just P&G it. It's all you gotta do. Well, P&G it, protest it, P&G it, and we'll all know what it is right then and there. No, I'm telling you, you're cheating. I'm like, dude, just do what he said. If you really, so he never did it. We go through tech. We ended up, I think, third one night, third or second, I can't remember. And next thing you know, tech man was Fred at the time. Fred goes, all right, we're gonna P&G motor. We gotta pull a plug out. I'm like, okay, which one? You tell me which one. We'll pull it out. And you want number one? I'm like, all right, it's the easiest one to get to. We'll pull it out. We pull it out. He P&Gs it, and I go, what is it? I already know what it is, but what is it? And he's like, you're legal. It's a 355. I'm like, all right. It's not the size of the motor you need. It's how you get the car to go through, into the corner, through the center, and off the corner. If you can get that all working very well, you can make a car with a small little motor look like it's got this 500 cubic inch motor.
Well, it's very momentum based. If you
Yes.
carry your momentum through the corner, you're going to do a lot better.
Exactly. And everybody doesn't do that. They all concentrate on horsepower. We gotta get it. We gotta go straight. But they don't think about getting it to turn. And that's where a lot of, honestly, watching practice comes into play again. Watching modifieds, sportsmen, late models, watching them guys, how they go through the corner and trying to somewhat not do what they do, because obviously they have 3 times the car you have.
The bigger tires.
But just try to see like if you can try to get it close to what you're on, and if it works, go with it.
That's what we were doing. It's funny you mentioned that watching the modifieds, because that's literally what we were doing at Freedom Factory.
Yeah.
After they repaved 1 and 2 and the top groove in 3 and 4, we were doing that. We were sitting up there watching the modifieds practice and being like, okay, let's see where they're running, you know, seeing what they were doing in 3 and 4 with that 1 groove. And you are right, because, you know, they got bigger tires, different wheelbase, you know.
Well, I mean, they're on that 8-inch slick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, granted, you're on a 15-inch. I don't know what width those tires are, like measuring.
17, something like that. 275.
Yeah, whatever that is, width, like measurement-wise. Like, you know, we're on an 8-inch tire now. First, we were on a 7-inch tire, so we had 7 inches. We're going to put on an 8-inch rim to make it, you know, an inch wider at least for the best. But still, I mean, they're on a whole lot better tire too.
Oh yeah.
So now you get up there, tires in the element of everything.
I did want to bring it back too, because one of the things you mentioned in that story was guy accused you of having a bigger motor and proved it.
Yeah.
It's something I find interesting is I see that constantly. Whenever somebody wins or starts doing well, the first argument is always cheating.
Always. Oh,
And it blows my mind that that's always the first argument.
always.
And
always.
it's like, I'm gonna get some shit. But I see a lot of guys who, the second they start winning, okay, that guy's cheating. It's like, well, no, he's not cheating. You can tell when someone's cheating, especially if you're looking at something like, if you're looking at, I guess for me, it's the easiest one to explain, because it's the one I noticed.
You know what you tell them? Work on your stuff during the week.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
it's
I've always
work.
said. Races are won in the shop.
Yes.
They're not won at the track.
Yep.
If you work on your shit, because it blows my mind, the guys who, they get to the track and they start tearing the heads off their motor. I'm like, are you not doing anything all week? Like, what are you doing? It's like, I get it, like, if you have 1 or 2 small things, like, we double check our toe and camber, we double check all our stuff, even though I already checked it at the shop beforehand, I double check it there. But I'm not doing major motor work there. So,
No, if you do major work, dude, that car's go back to that trailer. We're done for the night.
exactly.
We,
It's
we,
like,
ain't, we ain't racing that night.
and it's because I remember when I started racing, I felt kind of awkward, and where I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm not doing anything, I'm drinking water, and I'm like, I just did my shit, all my
It's
shit. At the
good
shop.
when you ain't got to do that.
It's nice, and just you feel awkward because you see everybody working on their shit, and then you're kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit because work and stuff gets busy. I get it. You know, I'm not saying anybody who works on their shit at the track is a bad thing. Obviously, there's situations, maybe
Right.
work, life, shit. I get it. You can't work on something. You got to get something done. If it's something small, it's just there are so many guys I see there where it's every single week, and they're tearing apart the heads. They're changing valve cover gaskets. Like, it's just every single week they're changing stuff like that.
I mean, the valve cover gasket, I get. Like, that
Yeah.
is a,
The
it's a
only thing is,
wear
like
item.
every week. Every week you're changing that
Well,
stuff.
if you're doing it every week, then you have an issue somewhere that you need to fix before you bring it, because
But they don't fix it. They just go back out to the track and say, "Fuck it, new gasket."
if it's constantly leaking, there's a major issue you got to figure out, or something's not being installed right. Like, all that's pre-checked. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was telling someone when they first started racing, I told them, I said, you know, this ain't no Crown Vic, just to let you know. I go, this stuff starts Monday night. Sunday is your race day. You don't want to do anything with Sunday. You rest, do whatever you want with your family and all that. Monday night is when you start working on that car. Start working on it. Start nut and bolting it. If you got to fix something, you fix it then. Tuesday, if you got to scale it, scale it. Wednesday, you're going to go out practice, test it. And if not, then you know what, you just make sure everything's good. Thursday, double check your stagger, make sure all that's good and everything. That way, when it comes Saturday, you're loading the car in a trailer, you're going to the track, you get there, you just double check your stagger again, make sure all that's good, go out and practice. You have a couple of issues in there, you start adjusting here, like little stuff. Don't go out and like obviously adjust major shit. I mean, then again, I've done it. I've adjusted major stuff. I've changed springs at one track.
Yeah, I'm not saying every once in a while, like we've had to change major shit at track too. I'm not saying you can't change major stuff. It's just the guys who you see every week.
Basic things that should be done at the shop.
Correct. That's that's the better way to put it.
Yeah.
Preventive maintenance is always perfect.
Yeah.
To
Exactly.
be done.
Like I have like personally what works for me, because everyone has different things that work for them. But I literally have sitting over there, I have a clipboard with a list of seven to eight things, which are just normal things I check every week, and I do a bolt check. I check every suspension bolt, make sure they're torqued, make sure they're tight, make sure nothing's loose. I do that, and it takes me 2 hours. Like it doesn't take me that long. It's just checking basic stuff, and that 2 hours of checking stuff. Like I have never had a race where, and I pride myself on this, where I've never had a race where that ended because something just broke randomly for no reason.
Fell off
I've
or
never
something.
ever had that.
Something
I've never had
fell
anything
off
fall
or-
off. Never had that ever, and that's because we check everything before we got to race. So whenever I see a guy who's like, oh my, I don't know, he didn't touch a car, didn't touch the wall, it's race, and oh my exhaust fell down. I'm like, well, you didn't check that?
Yeah.
Like
Sometimes that
sometimes it happens. Don't get me wrong.
it breaks. Sometimes like mine was, believe it or not, we had to weld it back up because it was starting to crack the bottom of it, and then so I noticed that. I noticed the cross member broke, so I was like, oh, so we got two things to fix tonight.
Well, the crazy one I remember, the craziest one I ever saw, and this was nobody's fault. It was just, you just reminded me of it. I don't know why. But it was a street stock race. It was Kyle. I want to say it was when Kyle was driving the 44, the silver one.
The silver one, yeah.
Yeah, it was the one. It was the night where both of his axles shot out of the rear
Oh
end.
yeah, the whole carrier just exploded.
Yeah, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen nothing like that.
So it's just, it was welded, and when you weld hardened gears to cast, they can handle the abuse. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Over time, just get weak and
And
weaker and weaker.
I want to paint the picture, because in case people listen, so they understand. When I say shot out of
Oh
the
yeah,
rear
they
end,
shot out.
They shot out of the rear end.
Yeah.
They got some air time. They got several feet.
One of them
launch.
actually bent the end of it. It was a Mosier axle. It bent the end where the splines were. It bent it down a good amount.
There's so many. I've seen so many ridiculous wrecks out there where I'm like, how does that even happen to a car?
That's like we were practicing one night. We just did. I forget what we just did to it. We were testing something, and got the car finally working right, and everything was really pretty quick. We're going out there, coming out of turn 2. Next thing you know, the axle just breaks. Tire goes right by, and I just start spinning. Try not to hit the brake because I don't know if the drum's still attached. I don't want to lose all my springs and all that, so I'm just letting it do its course. Come to find out, it broke the axle at the face. Not sure how that happened, but it happened. It was a stock axle. It's probably been abused many times.
Yep.
And like, it was one of those things that you kind of don't think is going to happen, and it just happens. But we fixed it. I mean, we had to put a trailing arm in it, new shock, but we went out there and raced that night, and we actually got second with a flat tire.
Holy cow!
They ran over a bolt.
Do you think? I've always used street stocks as kind of the stepping up class when it comes to mini stocks. There's a lot of work you got to do to them.
Yeah.
But street stocks I've always seen as the separation between just you're racing for fun and hey, you're really getting into this. You really got to understand setup. That's how I've always viewed it. I'm curious to hear from your perspective if you think that's the same.
It is, because like Crown Vic is like we classify as like a beginner's class, and then like you go to mini stock, not the outlaw mini stock, but like the mini stock, again, it's almost like a beginner. It's like a next level beginner's class, or actually it's actually the other way around. It should be mini stock then Crown Vic, because you're stepping into a V8 car.
Correct.
And then you're getting yourself used to a V8 car. Then when you go to like street stock, rear wheel drive V8 car, that's where a lot of that transition is. But then you're starting to learn like, okay, what shocks to run, what springs to run, gearing. Now you got to figure out, cross, weights, where to put the lead, all this at, because those other two classes you can't do that in, unless the rules tell you where you have to do it, which some of them do.
Yeah.
But like ours, it's anywhere.
You go wild.
You can go wherever you want. So that's at one point in time. I mean, when I started out, we had to put 50 pounds in front of the flywheel. We all put 50 pounds right there on the right front, just because that's what the rules told us. So we all had to adjust to it.
Is there any setup you've seen over the years that's like really blowing your mind? Because I've seen some crazy shit where people
No,
like, they'll
'cause-
try something buck wild just to see if it'll work.
If you ever ask Mark Nelson, he knows I'm famous for doing.
I talked to Mark a few weeks ago, and he agreed to come on at some point.
Yeah.
But please tell me.
I've thrown some numbers out there at him, and he looks at me and he goes, "Really?" I said, "I'm
Mark,
gonna
he's
try it."
exposing you.
And he goes, he's like, "I mean, go ahead." And next thing you know, he's like, "Well, it worked." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how, but it worked." I mean, even before then,
That guy's great.
Me
he knows
and-
how to set up a car.
Oh yeah.
me and
Holy
Mike,
cow.
at one point in time, we were throwing ideas when he had his big Monty. We were literally going like at one point in time, we were trying some crazy stupid stuff in the front end of our car for spring rate. And I was at like 1,000-pound right front, 800 left front. He was at like 1,100 right front and a 900 right front. And we were trying stuff just to see if we can get our cars to turn better by doing the heavy spring and heavy spring like combo basically. Well, mine worked for 2 races and then it created a push. So I was like, all right, I'm not doing this no more. And then I started backing down a little bit on spring weight, and then I started doing stupid shit. And then I got really stupid, and now it's paying off because it's working. And that's where like it's getting weird.
See, that's my favorite method of setup. I think it was Ducky. It was the one who, because I always thought I was one of the guys who's like, oh, let's throw it at the wall, see what sticks. Until I met Ducky, and then Ducky was like, no, really throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Add 25 pounds to the right front. And I'm like, okay, let's do it and try it out. And then, like, he was the one who got me more into that method of really going crazy, go buck wild. And
You
go,
remember, he used to race street stocks. Him and his wife used to race street stocks back
Yeah.
in the day.
No,
So
they-
they did what they're doing now is what they all done back in then.
He is, if you ask me, I think he's one of the most intelligent guys out there when it comes to setup.
He
by
came up to
far.
me one day, and it was when he first brought his kids out there and all that, and he was talking, because we parked near each other, and we were talking all that.
By the way, how great are they doing? Right
And yeah, they're doing pretty good.
Jesse's doing fantastic.
Yes.
So,
And
I love
the
that
best
man.
thing about them is they're not driving with emotions like a lot of people have.
No, they're not.
Because guilty, I'll do it sometimes. I'll get angry, and you'll see it. But there's times
I try to keep it. I've had one race where I really got to me, but other than that, I try to.
They're the best ones because they're level-headed, they're calm, and that's how you actually save and go further forward. The more mad you get, the worse you're gonna get because you're thinking you're doing good, you're actually overdriving everything.
Correct.
And now, unless you're like my cousin Justin, you get him mad, he drives way better.
I was about to say I have seen Justin race, and
And he gets mad, oh, he's a whole nother
He can
animal.
drive.
I tell him every time. I said, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna make you so mad. By the time you get out of that car, you're not gonna be mad at me no more, but you're gonna do a hell of a job though. I tell him that every time. Every time.
Justin's helped us out a lot.
Yeah,
so.
he's cool. Jared's cool. I mean, just what we all
Or
do.
not Justin, fucking Jared.
Yeah,
I'm
Jared.
Brandon. 2 J name. There's too many of you people.
Yeah.
You guys breed like rabbits.
No, that's the Larsons.
Actually, yeah, you're right. That is Larson.
There's more of them around. Than
I was about to say, how
Myers.
many you got, Garrett? Like, how many of them are there now? I don't
Oh,
even know.
there's
No.
Too many?
That's when was it? Larry was around. There was
By the way, y'all can grab water, not
I'm good.
right there.
He's got one. I still got.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
I'm
them.
drinking alone for this episode.
You are. Well, no, I've been drinking.
There's some that don't
Doesn't
even
count.
You don't
It's
even
not
know
alcoholic,
they
doesn't
are.
count.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like talking to Ducky and guys like that, because their setup methods, like it seems like they just have it down. Like they come out there, and you can see it in Jesse's driving and stuff. Because I remember when he first came out there, a little bit, I'm saying this because he's gonna listen to this. I know he fucking is, but I know he's gonna hear this. This is not me making fun of you. This is me saying that I know exactly how you felt, because I remember the first time you were out there, and I was like, I remember the first time I was out there, and that's why I like to help out the guys when it's their first time, or like that first handful of races, because you really don't know, you're really uncomfortable. Like, I'm sure you remember your first handful
Oh,
of races.
my first race was hell.
Oh, I gotta hear about this.
I started the car out 6 times in staging, waiting to go out, and everyone's like, "You stop, just relax, just calm down, it's fine." I'm
You
like,
stalled it 6 times?
No, starting up. I turn it on, shut it off, turn it on, shut it off, because I'm like, all right, we're going, we're not going, we're going, we're not going. So I was anxious. I was over anxious.
Were you there for all this?
Yeah, it was when I drove in the 19, the figure 8 car.
Oh yeah, the figure 8 car.
Right,
yeah.
so your first race ever was a figure 8?
Yes.
Yes.
And then went from that, I went into the street stock. And then it was better, but that first race was just as nerve-wracking. Because they're going against, like...
I always tell people the third one is the one you
Well,
need to
because
worry about.
there was more street stocks out there.
Yes, we
than
had
there
a
is
ton.
now.
And the best thing I ever did was I always went to the rear. Never started my original starting position.
I think that is the best advice to a young driver.
Yeah.
Like we were
Always-
before we started filming, we were talking about Carson.
Yep.
Who, for those of you who don't know, is a young kid who just started in VIX. He's come out and watch race all the time. One of the things me and you, I think, have both talked about is start in the rear. Your first 10 races, you start in the back.
Shit, your first year.
Yeah, good point. Your first year, you start in the back because your goal is seat time, and also, I can't remember who said it. I'm gonna bring it back, but I can't remember who said this to me.
Making laps.
It's probably Marty who said this to me, because it's always fucking Marty. But he said, when you start in the front, you only learn how to go backwards. When you start in the back,
Well, then you always know how to go forward, too, because you don't know how to pass cars, you start in the front.
Correct.
Only thing you know is go.
Yeah.
So-
And I learned that the hard way, as you might remember, because, and I told him this too, where I was like, hey, my second race was shit. My second race, I got pole off of the pill pole, and I said, screw it, I'll just stay there. That didn't go good. First corner, got turned around, went to shit.
Yep.
And I was in the back anyways. So at that point, it's like, I should just start in the back. And I wouldn't have had damage to the car. So that entire first season, your goal is seat time, really watching how people drive, pay attention to certain people, and talk to people.
Yep.
Talk to the drivers. I always tell people that. Talk to them. We will all are willing to talk to you. There's probably a handful of us who don't like human beings, but most of us are willing to talk to you
Yeah.
and say like, hey, and help you out with setup if you just ask. Man, that's the best way to do it. Be
Yeah.
social.
And the best thing is too is always have common courtesy. If something happened,
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of go up to them. Don't do it. Sometimes some people you can't go to that same night. Wait a week, go up to them the next race, be like, hey man, just to let you know it was my fault. I did tap.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Oh, I've seen you get mad. I know.
Yeah, there's sometimes yes.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but my first time I ever saw you race, I don't think I ever told you this. I'll just show you the picture. But the first time I ever saw you race,
Was it a couple of years ago at the end of the season?
it was several years ago. It might have been towards the end of the season, and it was you were coming off the corner. This was in the old street stock, in the not the A5, the one you had prior to that, not the current one.
The other scheme, the scheme
Blue
that was like
one?
his.
I think so.
His
so.
old color.
It was still red because I had the picture.
Yeah,
on
it
my
was
phone.
red with a white roof.
I believe so.
Yeah. It was
But,
same car. It's just different.
You were
scheme.
coming down. I was walking past the flag stand because I just grabbed a drink or some food or something. I think I was there with either my dad or somebody, and walking past, and I hear boom, sound like an explosion, and I was right next to the flag stand, and I look to my left, and I see two cars tangled up right underneath the flag stand. It was Hayden Mowry's 55. I don't know if Hayden was driving or not.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
And I look, and then all I hear is fuck, and then I see a wheel go flying through a car, and I'm like, who is that guy in the red car?
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw you, and I'm like, and I looked at both cars. I have pictures. I'll just show you later.
He
I don't know if I
finished the
ever told you
race.
about this, but I remember looking at that. I was wondering, I'm like, wonder who that guy is. And they said over the loudspeaker, it was Thomas Meyer, and I think I'm assuming it was Hayden.
Yeah, Hayden was.
Yeah.
That was
So-
Hayden's rookie year. He was driving.
Yes, that guy. That kid's great, by the way. He can drive.
He's
So.
good. He's after that he calmed down. Like his biggest thing
I was gonna say his early years.
he was very anxious and
Right.
he didn't understand a lot. But then once he started calming down, kid can drive. His brother's the same way. His brother had to relax.
I talked to him. Oh God, well, less than probably like 6 months ago. I came up and talked to him, and I was like, hey, how you doing with the street stocks? And he just started doing. He's like, yeah, I'm getting used to it. Yada.
Ryland's good. I mean,
his brother's more patient and wants to learn.
yes.
Yes,
He's been-
Hayden
that
went
was,
out there
I think
like
it
a-
was their dad who. I'm trying to remember these things. I think it
Billy.
was their dad. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Billy is awesome.
I think I was talking to Billy when he was like because you said the Ryland's more patient. I
Yeah.
think he said that to me. He's like, yeah, Ryland, like with Hayden, he kind of just had to go out there and figure it out himself. He wouldn't really listen to us, and then Ryland, he like listened to it
Right.
more. And
Right.
it was probably him because someone said the exact same thing to me.
He wouldn't. Ryland won't put the car somewhere it don't need to be.
Yeah.
Hayden would put it somewhere that it shouldn't be.
Ryland's cool because now he's getting more comfortable with the car. He's coming up to us. Like the last weekend when we were running and when the rain happened during the feature, it was kind of not real fun to race. It was fun to race with, but it was real hard to control the car sometimes. And he comes up, he's like, dude, he goes, I was there. Next thing you know, the car's sliding. I'm like, I was like, dude,
worry
trust me,
about
I was the same way. I was sliding over the rain. I go, but we all came out in one piece, and he was happy. He comes up and talks to all of us. We all have a good time. We all conversate.
I think it's good to do that because a lot of guys, I've noticed, if I'm in an incident with someone, I'll go up and talk to them.
Yeah.
And explain myself. I think a lot of guys jump to it's less the newer guys. Like Rylan and people my age or younger, I tend to notice it's less us and more guys who've been doing it for a long time, where its automatic assumption is, oh, you wrecked me on purpose or you hit me on purpose, as I've noticed. And I think, in my opinion, it always has been like 90% of the time that's not the case.
Yeah.
90% of the time. And also, I see guys, they get mad immediately when they hop in the car, they go over, they start yelling at you, they throw a punch, whatever. And I'm like, you shouldn't be assuming that. First of all, we all have GoPros in our cars nowadays. Everybody's got a GoPro.
Video's always going to show everything.
Everybody's got a GoPro. Everybody's got video.
Yeah.
We can very easily pull it up. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the track where, okay, let's see what happened. Someone pulls up video. Oh, that's what happened. Okay.
A lot of times, like I tell everybody, if I wrecked you, you'll know when I wreck you.
Oh, yeah, you'll know.
Because it's not an accident. Oh, no, you'll know.
That night with Hayden, that was.
Yes.
So most of the time, it's usually a racing
The one night
incident.
I have to bring this up now. And I know you're going to hate me for bringing this up. And I think you know what race I'm going to bring up. This was 2 or 3 years ago. It was a street stock race, and there was only 3 cars in the race.
Oh, you're talking about when I took out Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, well, I know it was intentional because you drove him down the backstretch sideways, which was very entertaining from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
But because I'm not someone, I don't wreck people on purpose ever. I know there's people who are pointing like, I don't. I've never wrecked someone on purpose ever. I have tapped people, I have bumped people, I have turned people around. All of it's been on accident, and I will fully admit that. And if I do something, and if I fuck up and do something, I will full on go up to someone and say, hey, I didn't mean to do that. I apologize, man. I'm sorry about hitting you. Yada, yada, yada. You, on the other hand, and I love this about you, is if someone fucks with you, because let's be honest, he was racing a little ridiculous.
He took me out in the heat race for no reason.
Yes.
But there's a story behind that, too.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me out in the heat race. I still got ahead, won the heat race that night. And in the future, I mean, I was fine, but I was still stewing about the whole fact.
Yeah.
And that was where the problem was. Because we ran almost back to back, and if we had a little bit of a break, I probably would have been fine. But I was still stewing, and that really shouldn't have happened because there's 3 of us, and it was kind of honestly a joke, really, if you look at it.
Well, you got DQ'd, if I remember.
Yeah, who block fucked me right there in the front.
I remember that. I was
stopped all
standing
3 of us.
in turn 2. And before we continue with this, I do want to preface, because I've never met him, I don't know him. Not attack against the guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know much about him. I was just talking about this because I was watching the whole thing, and I think it's an entertaining story. I just want to say that real quick. Just get that out of the way so people, so if he ends up seeing this, I have nothing against you. Absolutely nothing against you. I don't know you. I'm sure you're a great guy. It was just entertaining from a perspective of someone who was watching it, because I was sitting up in turn 2 when you came around turn 2 and turned him sideways and started pushing him down the backstretch, which was possibly in the top 3 funniest things I've ever seen happen at that racetrack.
Yeah, and the best part is Mark bought that car shortly after that, and he looked at me and goes, he goes, you see that dent in the quarter panel? I said, yeah, I did that.
But it was weird because that race was also, that was the same time I realized, like, damn, we only got 3 street stocks.
Yeah,
so
that was
on one hand, it was very entertaining, but on the other hand, I'm sitting there like...
Well, his thing was, before that, his kid drove it, and everybody was picking on him. That was his thing.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why he did what he did.
So that was the dad driving, not the son?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was a son for some
Because the
reason.
races before that, he said everybody was picking on his kid out there, and that's why he went out and did what he did.
Well, I mean, I believe it. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I mean,
but
I know a lot of younger drivers who get
when it's a drilling driver out there, I never go out there to pick on anybody.
Oh,
I go out there to race in long laps.
I think
But
most
you can
of us
only
don't.
take so much of something, and then it's got to...
I think a lot of people think of the short track scene as a lot of guys, hard, it's a bunch of hard guys who are going to fuck with you constantly. That's really not the case. There are those guys. There are guys who they're just going to go out there, going to tap you and be like, oh yeah, I'm the guy on this track. They exist. They are out there. But a majority of us, first of all, we all know each other. We all help each other out. So if someone fucks with someone, they're just going to walk in and be like, dude, come on, man. Why are you doing that? Come on.
Usually, it's like, again, it comes to the whole thing of, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We are running a quarter-mile track. you're gonna bump.
There's gonna be racing incidents.
You're
Right.
gonna get there and someone's gonna not see you, or they're just gonna pinch you. They're not gonna let you by. It happens. It doesn't matter what class. Crown Vic, mini stock, mod mini,
late model.
late model.
I've seen it happen in late model.
Modified, street stock, all that. If you're running down for the lead or whatever, top 3, doesn't matter. If the guy you think you're not wanting someone to beat, you're gonna block that position as far as you can. And guess what? Sometimes you're either gonna win that point or you're gonna get. It's gonna happen. I've had it happen. I've done it to people on accident, and it's all.
That's the thing.
Racing.
I think people. I always, whenever there's an incident I have in the car, my first assumption is never on purpose. My first assumption is racing incident. Okay, we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And my other thing is, if I fuck up, I will admit I fuck up.
Yep.
I have done it publicly. I have said it to people. If I fuck up and I wreck someone, and I know it's my fault, I will go up to them and say it. And I'll say, hey, that was entirely my fault. I entirely apologize. And I think more people need to do that. And a lot of people won't.
Oh, I'll tell you firsthand if I did it. I have no problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it just, because I've had, I'm not going to mention names, but I've had times where that happened, where someone wrecked me, and they would act like it wasn't their fault. They'd lose their mind and start getting mad. I'm like, look, even if it isn't on purpose, I don't care if you admit it to me that's your fault or not. It's a racing incident. We're racing fucking cars. People are gonna wreck. We're gonna get into each other. It's gonna happen.
Well, that's like one of the guys. We went over there when Showtime was closed for the hurricane relief. While they're putting all the dump out there, the brush dump and all that. So we were at Auburndale. One guy goes, I was talking with a few of them guys there, because I go over there, and when I run over there at Auburndale, I run very respectful with everybody. If I bump you, I bump you. You know, it's not on purpose. And there's a lot of guys. So like one guy's asking me, so like, what's your rule on what do you judge by bumping? And I'm like, well, here you're gonna bump. This track,
It's Auburndale.
You're Auburndale. You're gonna play bumper tag here. I already know it. So
Matt and I talked about that same thing like a few weeks ago.
You have to be patient here, because I'm like, you're already knowing you're gonna get bumper tagged. That's how it goes here at this
It's so
track.
close quarters.
I was like, you're on long corners, short race. It's gonna happen with that. Now, like one guy's like, well, what about Showtime? I said, listen, Showtime's different. I go, if you're hitting me 5 times, I'm either gonna tell you to pick a lane, or we're gonna have a little issue after this, because if you can't get by me, then there's a problem. But you know, it's like it comes down to like, because for Showtime you can race. There's an outside groove there.
You absolutely can.
No one believes it.
That was my favorite thing. You know that. Like my favorite thing was on restarts when it was appropriate. I would go into that third groove and go around the outside. That was one of my favorite things.
As soon as you like, and it was so funny is everybody knows. The second there's at one point in time there was probably about 4 or 5 of us. The second they knew we were on the outside, they were worried. They tell everybody, hey man, you know, Rick's on the outside, Mike's on the outside, Tommy's on the outside. And I think it was Mason ran the outside for a fat minute too. Good. As soon as you get us on the outside, you weren't getting an easy position. We were going to battle you, and we were going to hold our own out there and we'll normally win it because we know the outside groove so well, and that's what a lot of people were worried about.
I don't know why, but there's, you probably know, there's certain passes or moments in a race that kind of stick in your head for some reason.
Yeah.
And one of the ones, because you bring passing outside, one of the things that always sticks in my head, this was last year at some point, it was with Rob Partolo. He was out racing with us in his Vic that he got. And I was on the outside battling with him. We were going back and forth. I don't know why, but that sticks out in my head. It was because it was such a great race. Like, we weren't even racing we were racing for like 8th, I think.
Sometimes
that's
it was the best
a great
memories
little battle.
Is when you, like, I'll tell you, my first big race was a 50
and also getting
lapper.
a race with Rob Partolo, that was really cool.
Yeah. Like, my first...
That was really cool. I think that was...
awesome race was the John McCullough race. It was my first big race, everything. I started in the back. I'll tell you what, though. We put a camera. My cousin put a camera on the front bar of my bumper, and we all thought that was going to be gone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. That thing right there got some good video footage of everything.
Really?
Because we battled. It was me, Mike, Mason, and I forget who else. Because I ended up in the back, but we ended up mid-pack. And we actually put on more of a show in the mid-pack than the actual front line did, because they all kind of like stayed close together and like didn't really do a whole lot of battling. Us in the mid pack, we changed like spots like 6 times, going around the whole track.
I had probably one of my favorite battles was last February, and it was me, Mike Coleman, and Austin Ramsey. It's like January or February, and the 3 of us were at the front battling for the lead. And I remember like the one moment I remember is towards the end of the race. We had like a late race restart. This was like a 50 lapper. This was a longer race. I think it was at least. It was a late race restart. I was on the inside. Coleman was on and Coleman was on the outside of Austin Ramsey. Austin Ramsey was on pole, and I followed him through. And I kind of came up a little bit on corner entry into 1 and 2 on the second lap around. Dove below him, and it was one of my. And I caught up to Austin's bumper, but I couldn't get past him. I don't know why, but that entire race, it was me, Austin Coleman, all battling each other. And at one point, he got around me for a while, and that's probably one of my favorites. Those battles where it's like, it feels like you're giving every inch of it, like you're really pushing it to the edge. And this was January, February too. It was really cold on track.
Yeah.
So everybody was a little bit faster, but had a lot less grip. Like we were pulling probably 17 flats out there just because of the cold air for the motors, but because of the grip level, it was like it was kind of sketchy.
Yeah, because you guys were on DOT tires, uncut, and that makes it harder.
I'm sure you've had your fair share. Is there one that pops in your head? Come on, you got to give us one, man. Give us one good one.
Problem, there's so many.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would have to say in the street stocks, run against Stevie Larson one night. We 1 and 2, and we battled the whole race. And he beat me like by a foot at the finish line. I mean, we were sideways, side by side the whole race, basically. We came from the back, and then we battled like the last 5 or 6 laps side by side, and he beat me like by a foot. And then there was one racing against my dad. DeSoto.
Oh, you got to race with your dad?
Oh yeah.
How was that?
He was more experienced, but.
Well, I think that's one of the best.
Well, it was my dad, Charlie, my uncle, then my cousin, me, and we had another guy named Elmer Seifert, which raced years and years ago, that raced for us. And then we had a couple guys that used to help us that started racing for us.
Did you and Tommy ever race together? Or?
No.
Really?
I'd crash him.
I wouldn't give it a chance.
Listen, that's the argument me and my brother got sometimes when he talked about racing younger. He said he'd take me out. I said I wouldn't care if mom was in the car. I'd crash you too.
Would you ever consider doing one? If someone gave you a seat?
Yeah.
Yeah? I think, because I want him to do one with me, for the record. I want Dad to do one with me. And I think that's one of the best feelings, is racing with someone.
It is.
It really is. So, because I've talked to people about it before, and they also like, yeah, I got to race with my dad, or I got to race with my mom, whoever.
The problem we had is we had half the field. So sooner or later you're going to hit each other.
Well, that's the fun part, because then Thanksgiving comes up, and then it's great.
Yeah. No, is that great?
Remember 6 months ago when you wrecked me in the trials?
You got to do that. You got to deal with everybody on Monday night at the shop to fix both wrecked cars.
Yes.
So how many in your family are still racing besides Tommy?
Well, just the third generation, like Tom, Justin, and Jared.
Okay.
And Rebecca.
Oh yeah. So you got. So what? That's street stock. Rebecca's street stock.
Justin is
Justin
figure
and
eight.
He's
Jared
doing figure eight, and then
yeah.
Jared's still doing figure eight, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm always curious. One of the other things I'm curious about, actually. So, was there a point where, because from you talking earlier, you took him to the track a lot when he was little. Did you ever kind of have a point where you pushed him into racing, or was he kind of like, hey, I wanted to do this?
He
when
did
you were
it on
young?
his own.
You did it on your own?
Yeah, they.
Of course, when you grew up around it all your life.
Well, yeah.
Like
if you
me,
go
I grew up around that track since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, you get told you're not allowed to race,
When
and
we
then you
were-
go show up home with a
When
race
we were
car. It's
growing
kinda
up,
different.
my uncle ran a concession, and me and my other cousin filled sodas and everything. And then there was barrels behind the bleachers, the big ones that used to be there,
Right.
and we used to race barrels. A bunch of us kids used to race around the barrels.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you decided you wanted to race, did you come to him about that, or did you just do this on your own?
I did. Well, it was actually my uncle that
Well, the
came up
figure eight
with that
thing
idea.
was kind of on his
Well, the
own,
figure
but-
eight was. I worked on my Uncle Charlie's car all the time. Me and Justin actually, both of us worked on the new one that he had at the time. And then actually it was combined me, my uncle, Justin, Tony. We all worked on that car a lot. And then when my Uncle Charlie stepped down and Justin started driving it, and then we had someone to drive the T-Bird, so I started practicing the T-Bird a lot, and then I drove it. And then something happened to the other motor, and we took the motor out of the T-Bird and put it in that one. And then I had an opportunity to buy a car. Like everything, car, motor, everything, complete. And I was like, all right. So we were trying to figure out which one it was, because there was 2 of them that was coming up, 2 opportunities. One of them, the guy ended up just keeping himself, and he ended up racing it, and it actually got destroyed at Citrus in figure 8, like years later. So I ended up getting the car that I got now, and
Wait, hold on. The car you got now was the same one. How long
well,
ago
it's
was
not the
this?
same one. No.
Okay.
It's the same cage out of the one that I had. I had a 2-door, and it was an old center seater figure 8 car, street stock figure 8 car.
Okay.
And then the funny thing is, my uncle actually hit that car in the intersection in the left front, and all we did was change springs, put a motor, change the seat from the center to the left, put it at standard, not automatic, and we reskinned it over at Dustin's house and all that, did everything, and it was fast. It was a nice beginner car.
So how old were you when this happened with your first car, all this?
God damn, I don't know. 33 now. That was.
Is this how you know when you're starting to get older? Is when you're trying to
Yeah.
you look
Trying
up
to
and you're
remember,
like,
trying to remember
when
everything.
was that?
Yeah.
That was many moons ago. But I mean, it was. They didn't know. Well, they knew.
You didn't know?
They knew when the Summit Racing Parts boxes started showing up at the house.
Yeah.
is
So
when
you
they
were
knew.
so you were still living with them at this point. You bought a car, didn't tell them.
Didn't tell them because I still had my Mustang in the backyard, my '93 Mustang that I was working on.
How did you react when you found out about that?
Oh, it didn't bother me.
My
Yeah,
mom
but you
was
were just like, eh?
my mom wasn't real too happy about it.
Oh.
But then when she saw the car, then she was fine.
So she wasn't happy that you bought the car without telling her she saw the car.
Yeah, she wasn't happy that I started racing again. I started racing, and then she wasn't happy. Then she got
She was
over
happy
it.
that he quit racing the figure 8 car.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider doing figure 8 again? Sorry, Mom.
No. No. After that hit intersection of Crown Vic, no. Dude, I was hurting for
So you
like.
So you had a bad one in the figure 8.
Yes, I actually hit out there in the
He was
infield. Actually, in
driving one
the
of Brian's cars.
Brian Liverock's car. I hit one of the lap down guy cars because he just kept pulling out in front of us, and it was you had third, I was third through 7th all in a line, and it was me, Mike Wedlick, Josh Ryan, Justin, and Sean. We were all in a line. Me and Mike were battling. The guy kept pulling out in front of us, and I thought at one point Mike was going to hit him, then I was going to finish the guy off. Well, then we come around the corner. I actually got a good run on it. I didn't realize it, and I was like, "Oh crap, he ain't stopping. I'm not stopping. I'm leading the pack. I'm leader here. I'm going."
Well,
I was
your
trying to
last
hit
car,
this-
you got to give some sort of, I don't know, preference to the leader. Usually, if you're lapped.
Well,
So
you should, but
you should. It just doesn't always happen.
yeah.
Hey, so it's because we're talking about figure 8 stuff. Were you guys there? I can't remember. You guys were there the night. Oh Lord, what's his name? Donnie.
Yeah.
Donnie.
We were in tech when that happened, so we
Yes.
didn't know what actually happened.
Yes.
I think I think it was Mark. I walked up to where I was like, hey, there's because I walked down to say hi to you in Victory Lane, and then I saw him pull up in the figure 8 car, and I talked to him for like 30 seconds, and then I walked back up, and I saw him hit turn 1. I ran around back to the pits, and I think I was talking to Mark Nelson, and I was like, hey, this guy just nailed the turn 1 wall, ambulance, his whole 9 yards, and I don't know, like, and that wasn't even a race. That was just an exhibition thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should
So-
have never been in that car.
That was the thing I didn't want to say that,
He
but
was
that was the
too
thing I was
big to
wondering.
get in that car. To
He
begin
didn't
with.
fit real well.
So he didn't fit real well?
No.
Well, the thing I noticed, I don't know if this is true or not, but when I saw him hop in the car, because I was literally in Victory Lane with you, because I wanted to come down, you
Yeah.
finish second, I want to come down and say hi, and then I was talking to Mark for a bit, and as I was walking back up, I saw him get in the car, and he puts his helmet. He's wearing an open face helmet, which is one thing. And then on top of that, I don't believe he had a Hans on or any sort of
No,
neck
he had a
restraint.
donut.
He had a donut?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
You can see it in the picture.
but a donut in a figure 8 car, I mean, that's not doing anything.
Listen, you don't have a Hans on the track. You don't.
It makes me worried when I see stuff like that, because first of all, that was a bad hit.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, again, this is unconfirmed, because I don't want to say, like for sure, because I don't know for sure. From what I understand, the rumor is that it was something simple where he hit the clutch instead of the brake coming out of.
I think he hit the
coming
gas instead of the. Or
Yeah.
he did something. He might have hit the clutch. Yeah.
Well, because I know the clutch on those cars is weird.
Everything's close and
Yeah,
it's
they're
all.
real tight, close pedals too.
I heard
You
they
gotta
were
pull the
reversed. I was
clutch up.
talking to Ducky about it.
Yeah, Bert or a Brand transmission, they're internal clutch. So you hold the clutch to take off.
Yeah, that
You
was the
don't
weird
use
thing.
it to shift. You just hold
Yeah.
it to take off.
See, that was the
and
weird
you
thing. I was
let
trying to
off.
understand that because I don't know anything about the
Yeah.
figure eight cars. So,
So-
when Ducky was explaining it to me, he's like, the clutch. He's like, when you hit the clutch, it throttles up. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Right.
it helps you take off, and then you shift without the clutch. You have to get the
Okay.
RPMs right, and you throw it in
So
high
it's
gear.
kind of like if you're using a sequential.
Almost.
Almost. Okay. I'm just curious because I don't know much about figure eight cars.
They're, all the dirt guys run those, and that's what they run. They run it.
But
It's
because
basically
me and him were talking about that, and we were wondering like how does that work?
it's
Where
a
like,
direct drive. Literally, you
It's
don't
like a
have you,
sprint car,
you get rid of
basically.
oh, so it's like okay, now
Something like a sprint car.
okay.
yeah, but there's no clutch.
Where the,
there's no pressure
is the
plate,
shifter
there's no-
between your nuts? I mean,
No, it's right next to you. It's like a
It's
regular.
next to you and them.
Yeah, those were all like basically like a Ford transmission, like the old school Ford transmissions. Some look like the old Chevrolets. It all depends.
all right. I was curious about that because I was talking that night we were talking about it, but that was probably one of the worst hits I've ever seen out there.
Yeah.
Again, that's another one where like we were talking about it earlier about how people will be like, oh, it's safe. You got all these safety stuff. I'm like, you hit at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that was one of those. But I think there was a lack of safety there.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing that was more different about that wreck. I think there was a big lack of safety there, and I'm not blaming anyone in particular about that because I don't think it's any particular person's fault.
No, but
You always want to make sure you have like, I know
especially when you
everybody-
get in a rocket ship. to
Yeah,
begin with.
I mean, I know, I don't know the guy who was driving. I don't know him personally. I saw him briefly. I know him by reputation. I know he's a big driver back out there.
Yeah, back in the day, he ran
in the day, he was
street
a really big
stocks.
guy.
and he used to be our flagger too.
It's been it was a while since he'd been in a car, but you
Yeah.
put him in a rocket ship.
That was the thing that worries me is, if something like that happens again, you may not be as lucky.
Yeah.
Like he lived, and I think he may have had a concussion. I think is what I heard.
The
That
good thing is the car
dislocated
that
shoulder or
Dislocated
something.
shoulder,
Yeah.
which is that's a minor-ish
Oh, yeah.
injury.
Yeah.
But next time something like that happens, that could be a lot worse.
yeah. Well,
So
luckily
it
the car
worries
he
me.
was in was built very good,
Yes, it was.
very good. It's a T8 car.
Well, it was
I think
also brand new. So I thought it was newer from what I heard. Maybe I'm wrong.
It might be. I don't know which one's the newer of the
I
two.
heard that was the one from up in Indianapolis.
Both of them are from Indianapolis.
Okay.
Both are.
One's newer than the other.
One of them's the newer one of two because he had one before,
I
and
heard
then he
that
got
one
another
was
one
the
later.
newer one that just got built. But
Well,
maybe I might
he had
be
them
wrong,
both
so
redone, like a while ago. Had them both reskinned, everything,
check for yourselves, folks. I don't know if I'm wrong.
and it's just. I know he had one of them cars before because that's what he bought it for was the big Indy races he runs,
Right.
and then he got a second one later on. So I don't know which one is the newest one or which
I don't know,
one
but
is
that
not.
one got messed up, so
But
Doesn't
luckily,
matter
it's
at
not
this point.
bad. I looked it over. It's
needs a
it's
clip.
not as bad as it
was
looks.
pretty. It looked. I thought it was bad. Is it really? Because it was bad when I saw it.
It needs a clip.
Just needs a front clip. It knocked
Yeah,
the
but
right
the
front
steering
suspension
wheel
off.
was like sideways.
Yeah, but that's so
normal.
sacrificial
You see
stuff.
the steering
you can fix
wheel
it.
in Steve's car?
No.
It was
in
through the
Palmer's?
windshield.
So that was the other thing I heard that
It was up here.
he said, I haven't talked to Steve about this. I should talk to Steve about this. I meant to text him the other day, and I got busy. I haven't texted him yet. I meant to. But I heard that the steering wheel hit his chest. I don't know if that's true
Unless
or
he
not.
moved with it.
Well, that was the thing. I heard he moved with it because maybe the
Because
belts were loose. I don't know for sure. I'd have
That's
to
what
text.
knocked.
I haven't. I've not talked
I
to him
think
yet,
that's
so.
what knocked the windshield out.
It cracked it. It broke the Lexus windshield
Wait,
in half.
so wait, it broke the windshield? His hit?
If you look at the video, it broke. It's the windshield split, or it looked like it split. And
So
it
was that
popped
him?
out.
Or, I mean, that can't be him. I mean, that distance.
No, it was
between you
from the
and
steering
windshield.
wheel. The steering wheel was bent up. The steering shaft was bent up to the windshield.
Oh, I thought it came towards him.
No. It went. Dude, you gotta remember when you when you hit, like I did it one time. I rode the wall.
Right.
We were running hard. I was passing everybody on the outside, and I just kept passing and passing the same car. When everything's there, time I pass him, we get a caution. I'd go back beside him, instead of going on the inside because I finally get hold of him. But by the time I do it, I didn't complete the lap ahead, so I had to go back to where I was. We kept running. We were running so hard that we actually both come off the corner. I actually drove up the wall. And when I drove up the wall...
Hold on, pause. Tommy Meyer drove up the wall.
Yeah.
I can never believe that.
Not shocked.
I mean, I could never see Tommy Meyer driving the wall. I can't think of any time you've ever touched the wall in my life. You know.
Yeah, I drove up the wall, and I drove up the wall. I had a dead man's grip. I actually bent my steering thing.
Not last week.
He did that in my car.
Not last week, but the 2 weeks before that, he never hit the wall.
And the last one,
And we were all
I got it.
surprised.
It is funny to me because I make fun of you.
You gotta make sure the racetrack is wider. You gotta try it out every once in a while.
Maybe the wall's a little bit long, but no. I'm gonna start calling you Sparky, motherfucker, because I see sparks come off of your cars. But if anything, to me, that just shows your dedication, because you are running that outside hard. When I see sparks coming off your car out of 4, it's always out of 4 and out of 2. Right on exit, you come up and.
I use the racetrack.
That's why we put the bumpers out.
It's there for
Well,
I use
the
it.
wall isn't the racetrack. The wall is the wall.
It's as far as I can go, so I'll go as far as I can go.
Yeah, but if you're hitting the wall's the wall.
It just sometimes helps you make you faster, because that's how I got past
That's
stock
why
on
we
the
try
inside.
to put the bumpers out a little past the tires.
Oh yeah. So it just hits the bumper. You don't have to do body work.
That's
That's a good idea.
It don't hurt the suspension as much.
See, now you got it down. Less work for you guys.
Well, now I gotta check it because the bumper's been flattened down a
Yeah, the
little
bumper
bit.
ain't out there no more. The front
Nah,
bumper ain't.
you just pour it powered up and weld it back up and call it a day.
Actually, it's funny because bring up body. Curious about your guys' opinion on it because Matt and I were talking about we briefly mentioned it last episode, but currently it got showed off in Indianapolis earlier this year, or maybe it was late last year. I can't quite remember. Was a composite body for the Crown Vics, and a lot of people are going, "Oh, this is going to be the next street stock class. You know, it's going to turn into pure stocks or street stocks or whatever." And I was curious to hear what actual street stock guys thought about that, because this is what I said to Matt, where I said I think it is inevitable, and I do believe this. I think it's inevitable. It's going to happen. That this is going to turn into some version of street stock class. So,
The problem is,
if they don't leave the class alone and they start doing that, it's going to just it's
so do you
gonna
think?
go.
Do you think that would be a bad thing?
No, I think it would be. I would think it'd be a bad thing.
yeah, because then, I mean,
See, because
eventually,
the way I always look at it is, it's kind of the inevitable progression of a class is, certain stuff like composite bodies, simple stuff like that, where it's like, oh, it just makes it easier to work on, is inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it as a positive or a negative thing. I just look at it as that's how it's going to happen.
That's what happened to the street stock class years ago when I drove it.
Right.
It basically moved up to a sportsman where you can run noses and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I blew up 4 motors in a row trying to keep up, that's when my dad and uncle said, you got to start running figure 8. But it's the same thing. They started running bigger motors, nose pieces.
So was it just a cost thing, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is the one thing I'm worried about with it. Well, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, about the composite body and stuff.
there is one bad thing though. You get hit, that's fiberglass flying everywhere.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's the problem. You got a almost 4,000 pound car. They take the seats and all that out, but you got the doors, but you still have all the quarters, the fenders, a lot of factory stuff still.
Well,
in the
they
car.
have the nose right now, but I'm saying in the future, because if they're already manufacturing the nose and stuff, they're going to manufacture a whole
Well, they're
body
just
for it.
probably doing the nose because it's easier. It's better to build out of fiberglass than rubber, like the factory stuff, because anybody can build a fiberglass nose.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so much simpler and cost effective versus buying a mold.
It's also just
and
easier.
pouring.
Like
Yeah.
if I fuck up something that's fiberglass, or
You fix
like
it.
I just take it off, put on a new one, or fix it.
or fix it with resin and fiber, and that's it.
Fixing sheet metal absolutely fucking sucks.
Yeah, you
I hate doing
gotta.
it.
Yes, but a sheet metal car take a beating.
You
It can take a beating.
you can last-
You are correct. That is like the main benefit of it, is that it can't take a beating.
Yeah.
The difference is with street, you guys have a little bit more. I don't know. Your guys' bodies are designed a little differently.
Well, we're allowed. We have to
Yeah.
at least make them look factory appearing. We must run the same roof at the same frame as we have.
Well, if your roof gets messed up, you're having other issues. So.
Yeah, you're missing the roof up. There's you have more problems to worry about.
I think it was
besides.
Austin who promised that he was going to take my roof one night. So it still hasn't happened. So
That's yeah. Yeah.
if you're taking my roof, we have a. I can't. Actually, it was him I was talking to. I think about in the rear ends the watch link bolt. We bought an ARP bolt for ours because we had it break once. And we're like, we don't want to deal with that shit ever again. So we bought an ARP bolt. He's like, well, if you buy an ARP bolt, you know, it means you could snap the rear end housing before it snaps the bolt, and you don't want that to happen. I'm like, if I snap the rear end housing, bitch, I got other issues besides the bolt, the fucking Watts link bolt in the rear end. I'm like,
yeah, because at one point in time, we were fighting that issue with Austin. It would break him because he's run dirt and asphalt.
well, I know that one. I think it was Hendry. No, not Hendry. It was Bubba's. Was the one track? There's a specific pothole if you hit. I know is known for taking out watch link bolts.
Yep.
So I've heard.
He broke one when last time he was there, and that was the third or fourth one we had to put in the car.
Well, how many of those were because of tractor tires? I know
none of those were tractor tires.
I was about to say, because I know he's eating a couple tractor tires.
Yeah, no, that's just.
I love you, Austin, but
Listen.
those tractor tires love you more.
We built the bumper on it, and I told him, I said, after we do this bumper, and you go out there and hit a tractor tire, I said, don't come back here with the bumper. I said, because I'm going to hit you with the bumper if you hit a tractor tire. He started laughing. He said, no promises. So now we got this joke going with each other. He said, I'm the last one to knock the bumper off. I said, no, you knocked it off. I just finished it off. I just pulled it off. And I said, we're going to put it back on and reuse it.
How is that car coming along right now, the 71?
We haven't touched it, but I mean,
I know last race I raced with you guys at least. You guys are having some issues.
we've been, believe it or not, we've been figuring it out. He's gotten a lot of help from some people that actually know a little more about those things. That they actually run that class a lot, and you know, they do a phenomenal job on everything. And I do what I can to help them with my knowledge. Cause
hey, you know your stuff, man. You got your notebook.
They're a little different than what we're running. Like, we can't do the stupid stuff that I do on my car nose because
you can do stupid stuff on Vic's.
Well, you can, but you
do a lot of stupid stuff.
You'll get in trouble with some of the stuff.
It's fine.
So we can't change springs because springs have to match the same sides. That's an issue there. That's always.
I'm not exposing myself. There are things you can do that are within
the rules.
That are within the rules. There are things you can do.
And we
that are effective.
Every rule book for every class, every racer goes to the maximum effort of it.
Exactly. It's all about the gray area.
Yep. You look at the
I'm
gray.
all for it. You know what? I'm going to say this. When it comes to cheating, I don't mind you cheating as long as you're not being a boring asshole and doing some stuff like tuning your computer. If you're going to cheat, be creative.
Well, that's what they do at the Citrus. It's in the rules. You're allowed to do it.
I know. It is in the rules. And I probably should not get into Citrus right now. But my thing is, it's like, this has always been my view on cheating. If you're in the gray area and you're breaking a rule before it's made or something like that, more power to you. I think you should do that. If in a public service announcement, if you have figured out something to do and the rule hasn't even been made yet, do it. Just absolutely do it. That's how it works. It's racing. People have been doing it since the 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
Longer than that. The people who piss me off are the guys who do the basic stuff. The guys who, I'm going to tune my computer, haha, they'll never catch this. And the reason that annoys me is because you're not even trying. Yeah. Not only are you cheating, you're not even trying to hide it.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, these things are all ran off electronics. So you tune your computer, that's free horsepower right there.
Yeah,
but
you know how easy that gets found.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing they gotta check.
Yeah, that's the first thing you check. So it's like, and then those are the same people complain, I'm not cheating. I'm like, you're doing your computer, dude. You did the most obvious thing.
Yeah.
Or your control arms don't match in length. Like, guess what? I got a ruler too, buddy. Like, boop. All right, figured it out. There's a length. The length's different from that one. Stuff like that frustrates me because it's like you're not even trying. You're just doing the basic stuff everybody thinks of. If you come up with something creative, like a real creative way that nobody's thought of yet, and I know people who have, it's changed now, rules have changed to outlaw that stuff, but I know people have figured out stuff where they figured out a real creative way, and some of it's illegal and some of it isn't. And a genuine creative way to make the car turn better or run faster that is in a gray area of the rules. That I always respect that more because that shows me very good mechanical knowledge on those vehicles compared to someone who just, I'm going to tune the computer.
You're studying your car.
I'm going to put different springs on the left rear and the right rear. Like,
you're studying the car, you're making it.
Yes.
You're doing what you got to do.
I mean, I'm sure there are guys out there right now who, when it comes to setup, and this is for any class, who they're every night they're researching shit. And actually, I got to ask you this. So, How many do you think are using AI?
Huh?
How many do you think are using AI? There's got to be at least one guy who's using AI to help set up.
Not me. I know that. Fuck, that's
There's gotta be at least
technology.
one. Do you think at least one of them is?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Technology ain't gonna help you in the fucking real world.
You really think it couldn't?
Computer can tell you everything you want to do. Put it on the real world track like that.
That new Grok stuff. I mean,
Go put it out there on the track and see what it does. It probably won't work out as good as the computer thinks it's gonna work.
I think if you asked Grok right now,
I don't know what that is.
It's the Elon's new AI. It's you can ask it whatever you want.
Oh.
It's AI. I guarantee you, there's at least one late model guy using it. I guarantee you.
I'm sure.
I guarantee you. It's interesting to me. So.
Me personally, go by feel and trying stuff, thinking of what would work.
I agree. I just think it's interesting. I'm curious if it would actually work, because I feel like there's somebody who's doing it right now. I feel like there's got to be at least one person.
I'm sure there's somebody out there.
Somebody has more money than I do that does it. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
you don't need money. You just go on Google.
Not me.
There's got to be at least one. I will run. This podcast gets 500 views. I will run one race with a setup straight from Grok. I'll say it right now. I will hold myself to it. It's on video. It's being recorded. I will hold myself to it. I will run a setup purely based on what Grok gives me for the Crown Vic.
All right.
Oh boy.
I'll do it.
Oh boy.
Do you want to get on this?
No, because I am not putting my name on that. I am not doing that.
I don't know. I think people are doing it. I think there's. If you're telling me there's at least one late model guy who's just been like, let's see what it would say, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, the problem with that is, you got pull-down rigs, man. That does so much better than AI does. A pull-down rig will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, but the AI probably has that same information.
Not only in computer time. You got to remember real time. Pull that car down to that track surface.
But if you give it all the information, if you give it the track temps and like every little scrap of information,
but that track temp can change at any second, any moment, any time. Can the computer adjust to that?
okay, let's say you get a range 76 to 80 or something like that.
I mean, you would think so, but again, that track, yeah, I hear this every day from a lot of people. I'm like, yeah, it's asphalt. Tracks stay the same. It's not dirt. Dirt track changes.
That's not true.
Dirt changes. Asphalt tracks change too.
They both change.
It all depends.
Yeah, the weather.
The weather, the time, everything.
Freedom Factory is super weather sensitive. I've noticed that.
Well,
racing
that's
on
also. You gotta remember, you're racing on old freaking asphalt out there.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
'Cause
majority
the
of
one or two
it's
went
old. Still,
The majority of it is. Yeah.
You just put new asphalt down, so now you're gonna be super grip. That was the problem you're fighting up there at Citrus halftime. Before he repaved the entire track, it was old asphalt. It was nice to race on. You were fast, but the second they put new asphalt down, dude, you're faster. You were picking up a lot more speed. You were gripping the track more.
I remember the first time I went out there, the track felt significantly faster than
Sometimes
the other
you put 4 new tires on at Citrus, you would take your right sides off, put your old worn out right sides back on just to free the car up, because that's how much grip you were getting.
So literally, with so much grip, you couldn't turn the car.
Yeah, you were turning. You were slowing down because you were gripping the track so much more.
You know, could have helped you figure that out. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. But
I'm serious about that, though. I will 100% do that. 500 views.
I will take your
500
word
views,
for it.
I will 100. I will screenshot what Grok says to do for setup, and I will do it. For shits and giggles, I will do it.
I will take your word for it.
I'll put my money where my mouth is.
Hey, I'll let you do that, not me. I'll stick to
Come
my
on, man.
old-fashioned way of figuring it out.
Join the dark side. Come here.
No. I tried other stuff. It doesn't work out. I tried doing the stuff I do.
You never know.
My
You never
stupid
know.
ideas always work out sometimes.
I don't know. How long have we been going? 90? Hey, we can wrap it up if you want.
Yeah.
So, unless you guys got anything else. So, all right. Well, I had a good time. I'm hoping you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
So it's very good to have you guys
I
on.
enjoyed it.
Definitely have back on at some point. I would cheers, but you guys are lame and you don't drink.
Yeah. Race cars are more important
All right, yeah.
than drinking beer.
Hey,
They're more expensive.
it's 50-50. Depends on how much you drink. All right. Well, there we are.